Hi, welcome back to the Monkeyscrolls podcast. If you're coming back, or hello for the first time, if this is your first time. This week, we watched the Texas Chainsaw Massacre from 1974. I'm Joseph Gehring. Along with me is...
I'm Kiefer Moore.
And I'm Kaylib. You know what I'm saying?
So, this week we talked about we're going to talk about the old Texas Chainsaw Massacre, 1974. Pretty classic film, directed by Mr. Tobe Hooper. We'll give a little synopsis. It's, five friends going to, basically they're going to a cemetery out in the middle of fucking nowhere, Texas, because there's been grave robbings happening, and I guess I think it was their grandpa. Well, they have a relative that's buried there, and they want to make sure, old Peepaw, he hasn't been bothered. So they're going out there in their sweaty old van in hot Texas. That van probably doesn't have AC, even though it's 110 out there, because the 70s were a nightmare. And, they go to the old family house that's out there that no one's been to since... Seems like there's two brother and sister since they were kids. And, they find this serial killer cannibal family. I mean, it opens up, they pick up a guy on the side of the road who asks them for a ride, and he's fucking insane and weird, and cuts his arm open and shit. It's pretty fucking weird, huh?
Yeah. It's a weird movie, man. It's a weird movie with weird people. It's made in a weird time.
It's definitely a weird movie that I think could have only been made how it was made in the time it was made. You know what I mean? Extremely cheap.
It could have only been done the way it was done the one time.
Yeah.
And I found that out. This is not going to come up in the podcast very much, but I found that out when I watched the second one. Is that you can't do anything else with that. The first one got that lightning in a bottle.
I think it helps too, 74, my grandma was talking. I talked to her about it because she was a teenager in 74, and she was talking about how some people, just with how grainy and home movie it looked like, because it was made for really cheap, like $140,000. So everything was cheap. They're all college students, so. As cheap is as cheap does for this, and she's talking about how people were it almost was some people thought it was real just because of how home movie it looked. I mean, obviously, I don't think a lot of people did, but it feels very almost documentary style, and that comes from Tobe Hooper was. Working actually as a cameraman for documentaries. I feel like I said that word weird. So he was working as a filmmaker, and was a
doc boy.
Yeah. So it definitely plays to his what he was doing and his strengths at the time.
Yeah, I think touching on what you said, it really does help with the feel of the movie and the way it was is because they didn't have all the budget for so much gore and all kinds of crazy stuff. They had to really rely on the reactions of the people getting killed to make it scary, and that kind of made it scary. Like when he puts that girl up on a hook, you actually don't see the hook go in or the blood or anything, but you see her screaming in front of the hook, and it looks like, oh shit, is nuts. Or when something bad's happening to the brother at the end, the sister, it locks onto her face screaming because they had to count on the reactions more than the production for the gore because there wasn't that.
Yeah, there wasn't really any, especially even when the guy in the wheelchair gets caught, and it's a pretty long death. He gets swiped with the chainsaw quite a few times. And it's from behind him. You don't really see anything.
Yeah, you focus more on the reactions of the people and the sister screaming.
Yeah,
They really sold the movie that way, where it's they saved the entire budget for Grandpa's makeup at the end because the rest of the movie was just people's eyes screaming.
They definitely went for a creep factor. They did a lot of long shots where the camera would kind of just dwell on a scene. I don't know if you remember the very beginning. There's like that graveyard and there's the skinned skulls on top of the tombstone.
Yeah,
And the
how it
camera just
opens,
kind of
everything's
pans
gross.
across it.
Yeah.
There's a dead armadillo in the road, and they just kind of let you look at it for a while. And when the girl stumbles into Leatherface's workshop, the camera just kind of pans around and lets you see how creepy everything is. I mean, she could have got up and left in a second, but you needed to see all the bones and feathers and how absolutely disgusting the living conditions were. So they went for creepy a lot, which was, I think, a great.
Yeah, I think it worked in their favor.
Yeah, I was actually surprised myself with how not bloody this was. Just because, I mean, I've seen it before, but I guess it's been a minute, and I last time I watched it, maybe I was in high school or something, and Leatherface is like considered one of the classic, slashers with Michael Myers and Jason and Freddy. But really, this isn't a very bloody movie compared to any of those. And it definitely more of like a creepy and real feel, like you're probably not going to meet a family of Texas cannibals when one of them's a big giant mentally handicapped man that wears a skin mask, but it definitely felt more real than uh I think Freddy, or I mean obviously Jason, because he gets resurrected and stuff like that. It's like it's stretching the means of reality, but not as far
not
as
that much.
Yeah.
I mean, I only been to Texas a little bit, and it was kind of sus. So like, it's it's not that far out of reality, bro.
And especially with 1974, they just had like the oil crisis. So like when they go to the gas station, they're told there's no gas, and he's like, it's gonna be till like tomorrow, whatever he tells them, till there is gas. Like it's at that point, and that happens, you don't know that he's part of the family, and it's totally just like a ploy to get people to stay there so he can cut them up.
Yeah, eat them up, bite them up, cut them up.
But like it's like totally that time of that was happening, so it makes sense that a gas station might not have gas.
Yeah, but when it's revealed that he is part of the family, it kind of all hits you at once because he's trying to get him to come eat some barbecue, and you realize that the barbecue is probably people.
Oh yeah,
I'm pretty sure they actually ate the barbecue.
Yeah, the guy in the wheelchair was eating some.
Oh yeah, which I wanted that guy. There's only 5. There's there's 8 characters total in this whole movie.
Yeah,
9.
Yeah, there's not many.
I like that though. Like I like that's something I really liked about the first Halloween is he kills like 3 people.
Yeah.
Like I didn't realize it until after you look back, and it's like 3 people. It's like you don't actually need 50 people getting gutted that like a horror movie. Like this guy's having like 5 kids that were like fucked over. I thought it was perfect.
Yeah, and they've just had a terrible time of it, but I want to talk real quick about how annoying Franklin is. Like, I get it. He's like in a wheelchair and something's up. He's got some form of a disability. But, like, Franklin is a shit the whole fucking time. And,
come on, guys.
I mean, he was right about not going nowhere and nobody listened.
He was right, but maybe if he wasn't annoying, they would have been more likely to listen to him.
Nah, I think
that was a character death that I was happy that happened.
There were a few characters I was rooting for their death pretty early on. I mean, the girl who's just reading horoscopes to the guys in the van right off the bat, I'm just like, she's gonna die.
You would hate her, dude.
Yeah, that's just you hating people who do horoscope stuff.
But I mean, they made some hateable characters right away. Franklin, I mean, I was just waiting because all he does is like moan and gripe, and he
But everyone got murdered. He was right.
Oh, no, I'm not saying he was wrong, but he was so annoying. And everybody acted annoyed with him, and he didn't pick up on it that he was being annoying. So he got it. Yeah, I mean, basically everyone dies, right?
The only one that lives is Franklin's sister, Sally.
Maybe that truck driver.
Oh,
maybe.
It's a solid maybe.
I mean, it totally ends with she jumps in the back of a truck, and the guy sees a dude with a chainsaw and goes, "Go, I'm getting the fuck out of here. I don't care if she just jumped in the back." So like, she makes it, but she had to watch all four of her friends, well, three of her friends and her brother get killed by a giant idiot in a skin mask. So, dude, he just screams fucking noises at him the whole time.
And I like that, like, sure, Leatherface is kind of weird, but like you don't know nothing other than be scared of a giant guy chasing you with a chainsaw. They really wait to get weird with this movie till like the last scene where they're like, okay, bring Grandpa down. The not the creep factor, but the weirdness factor really amps up right at the end, where it's like, okay, it gets more surreal, I guess, is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, it was also one of my favorite parts. I thought the movie, peaked right at the end.
Yeah, climaxed well.
Yeah. Well, shit. If we're already there, then you're mentioning one of your favorite parts. Why don't we just all go into our favorite parts? And Kiefer, why don't you start off?
Sure. I mean, when they've got her tied up at the table and they're kind of arguing over who's going to get to kill her, and she has to sit there and listen to it, she starts screaming. And we're talking about how it gets weird. The family starts howling like wolves.
Yeah.
And that's my favorite part, because she's screaming because she's scared. And they're just playing. They're kind of, I don't know how you describe them. They're not doing it to scare her. But this is their reaction to her screaming about being killed, is they're howling and kind of like taunting in a way. It was another creepy moment that I thought was pretty great. That was probably my favorite. And besides that, I liked some of the things you could tell if you're paying attention to the clues early on. You knew something was kind of off when they pull up and he's like, "Oh, there's no gas." But also the guy who's washing the windows doesn't bother to wipe the blood off the side of the van. So like they're clearly not like good folk, because like he's like, "Oh yeah, go ahead and stay around. There's no gas." And this guy's like washing your windows, completely ignoring all the blood across the side of your van from the insane guy who smeared it there. So yeah, those are some of my favorite parts. I don't know. What about you guys?
I like the part is right after that. I like the part where they're trying to figure out who's gonna kill her, and then they decide, oh, it's fucking Grandpa.
His grandpa. And
so I just like when you're like, wait a second, that old bitch is alive, and then you fucking get to watch them just try to put the hammer in this old dude's fucking hand, and it's this whole tension of like, is he gonna grab her and hit her? It's like they're just having fun playing around, trying to get him to smash her on the back of the head with a fucking hammer, and she's just like, and then he whaps her a couple times before she eventually dips out. But I just thought her like having to sit through that, getting thwapped on the back of the head 2 or 3 times, and still having a fucking good spot to run, dude. I was like, okay, this is nuts.
Just grasp it tightly, Grandpa.
Come on, man.
Firmly grasp it.
Firmly grasp it. It's exactly what it was. Grandpa was so fucking weird too, man.
Oh, he was kind of weird.
I was 100% he was a dead guy, because they show him in the dead grandma early on. I thought it was a dead body.
If you haven't seen this, obviously all of our podcasts are full of spoilers, so we're not holding back on a fucking 40-year-old movie.
Grandpa's living and breathing.
They roll Grandpa out, and he looks like a fucking mummy they pulled out of like an Egyptian tomb and put in like a suit. Grandpa's living and breathing though.
Oh yeah, it's revealed in the Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2 that Grandpa's 137.
Oh, yeah, I believe the
Oh, they
synopsis
did.
online.
They add some lore to Grandpa. Dude, trust me, he's got some depth of character. You wouldn't be ready.
Dude,
You wouldn't be ready for.
there's a whole bunch of fucking trash lore for this movie that didn't need it. Like it could have just it holds on its own pretty well. It's creepy and it's got some funny moments. It's a solid little, film that didn't need all these three fucking was it three sequels that they did.
There's there's 3 proper sequels and then there's a bunch of remakes.
Yeah.
Warning, kids, don't watch any of the sequels.
Don't watch them. One of my favorite scenes though is you guys like the dinner scene, which is a good scene because it's definitely the climax of the movie. But I like when they pick up the hitchhiker, who we find out later is part of the family. But when they pick him up and he's like this weird fucking guy that they just continue to keep in their car, like as after he's being weird, and like
yeah, I remember to fuck him up.
Like, yeah, they just kind of are like, yeah, you're weird, man. And even after he starts cutting his wrists open with Franklin's knife, the guy that's driving the van just
keeps
no sells it, dude. Just nothing. He's just like, what's happening back there? Oh, he's cutting himself. All right, we'll just keep going. But I really like that scene because it's like intense and like it's stressful because this dude's clearly fucking insane.
Yeah, for some reason they're super nonchalant about everything. Even when he assaults he grabs Franklin's arm and cuts him before they kick him out.
Yeah, that's when they kick him out.
They're like, hey.
Yeah, and after that, I don't know if you guys remember, the guy says, I'm thinking about calling the cops. The guy literally cut a dude's arm open, and they're thinking about calling the cops.
Like that's the thing too. So he takes Franklin's knife that Franklin's playing with, cuts himself. They're like, that's fucking weird. And then he takes their photo and like catches it on fire with like does the gunpowder trick and stuff, and then cuts his arm open. So it took them until he cuts Franklin's arm open for them to be like, wait, maybe we need to get him out. Not the first time he pulls out a knife and cuts his hand, or when he's talking about, it's like, yeah, at the slaughterhouse, hitting him with the sledgehammer. That was the best way. It's like, that guy's getting out of my vehicle that moment. It's just like, you know what? Hey, I actually have to go the other way, so get out of my car.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I just won't pick up a hitchhiker.
That's the smart thing to do.
Yeah, I won't even answer a call from like a friend or a family member unless they text me beforehand they're going to do it.
I know.
Hitchhiking is over.
Dude, I don't trust anybody.
They're all
is that really grandma on the phone, dude?
Is that my mom for real? No.
You know what I'm saying? So I don't trust a single living being, so I never would pick up a hitchhiker that looked that sus. Not even in the 70s, bro. I don't care what anybody says. Free love or whatever. Like, half of them were saying no. Saturn wasn't fucking retrograde, dude.
Saturn wasn't fucking retrograde, and people were getting killed. It was the 70s.
You know what I'm saying? Thank God we're in the age of Aquarius now.
Jesus Christ.
God.
You know what? That actually transitions into the next little part I want to talk about is things we didn't like about this movie. Because, overall, I feel like we all liked it, but not every movie is perfect. Like for me, I didn't get like it. Like the scene when they go to the house, like I didn't particularly like that because it's so slow and it's just this rundown house, and it almost leads like it's gonna start turning into like a sex film because they're like upstairs flirting and stuff, and like it just felt like a waste. But really, the movie's so short that if this was any longer and they kept that scene, it would have been. But it's only an hour and 20 minutes. But really, to me, that's the only part I didn't like because it just slows everything down so much after dealing with the hitchhiker.
I didn't like that it didn't turn into a sex film. What the fuck? Imagine if you looked at this movie and it was just subtitled a sex film. So that's just a joke, but I liked most of it. I didn't like, if I had to pick something.
I mean, you don't have to.
I didn't like that girl went up to the door and was after her boyfriend got murked. She sees his coat on the front. He's not responding to shit. She's like, "Hey, hey yo!" And he's not doing anything. And she's like, "Well, I better go in the house that he was at." Like, you think you'd go get your other friends and be like, "Hey, dude's missing and not responding to my calls, and his jacket got left behind."
Oh yeah, and like she can see into this house that just you don't have
It's
to
got
see
bones on the floor.
Yeah, it's like a creepy fucking house going all the way in.
The fucking metal door.
Yeah.
And she's just like, Jimmy, are you here? And it's like, you need to run, girl.
Yeah, they kind of single file just go in there too. Like, hello at different times.
The kids just line up for like is this where the killing is?
It's literally stressing Leatherface out.
Yeah, he was just trying to fucking do his work, cutting the meat for the day.
Fuck that chicken or whatever he was doing.
For parts that I would, if I had to choose something I didn't like, I'd preface it by saying I really liked the chase scenes because it was super suspenseful because the chainsaw noise is like permanent in the background. Once he revs that chainsaw, it's going for like 45 minutes straight. It has a background noise, and she's screaming and running around in the brush. But it relied on a few too many jump out of the second floor window scenes to get away.
She did it like 6 times.
Yeah.
And then she kept running every time as if her knees wouldn't blow out. But I mean, once I'll take it. Twice I'll take it. How many times did she actually jump out the windows? It might have only been twice, but it was too many.
I thought them running through the brush was brutal. Just to touch back on that, I was like, ow, scratches.
Yeah, that was Texas dry brush.
You have to think, like, could you run through that?
Yeah,
I mean, you have to, right?
What if it like poke you in the eye?
Yeah, you got no choice. You're running through that because a giant retard with a fucking 27-inch chainsaw is coming after you. Like, you're running through the brush. There's no choice there. It's
right, but it puts you in the movie and you have to think like, I'd have to do this. Could I do it? And it's, how would it feel? It's terrifying.
Oh yeah.
And the whole time the chainsaw's going. I swear after he revs the chainsaw up for that chase scene, it's going for the rest of the movie.
Oh yeah.
It doesn't stop.
It's the infinite gas tank chainsaw. It just keeps going. Man, a chainsaw. It's like something about chainsaws. Like I've grown up with, my dad fucking pretended to be a logger or whatever.
People around with
my dad chased me around with a chainsaw when I was a little boy and stuff. So I'm used to the sound, but no, it's like an actual like terrifying sound because it's a very distinct noise.
Oh, it means that ripping's coming.
Yeah, and like that's what chainsaws are for, is cutting up meat.
Yeah.
And this time you're the meat.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know if it was because the set was so small or it was limited to the house and around the surrounding area, but the chase led to the second floor and jumping out of a window too many times for me to really believe that's how a chase would go down over there.
Well, I mean, if movie-wise, yeah, it's like you only see their house and then the old rundown house. So I guess that makes sense. And like they only had like $100,000 or whatever to make this, so they just they worked it in okay. I can feel it though, man. Like how many times are you gonna be jumping out of a window?
Yeah, I think they had some sugar glass to blow. They needed to use it. Like, you're going out the window again. I don't know. It felt wrong. Is my only thing. That was my least favorite part. It's like I don't think she's gonna keep running after jumping out of this again. And she does.
Mm-hmm.
So it made me feel less scared, and I don't like to be taken out of the moment.
You would, dude. Nah, but yeah, I mean, I think overall, it looks like we're having to find stuff to be upset about because it's pretty good.
Yeah,
Oh,
no,
yeah.
it's like we're stretching.
Yeah,
I
but
loved it.
I like the movie. I mean, I would honestly, I'd probably recommend it if you haven't seen it. I don't know how many times I could watch it more than once, and I definitely would not recommend the sequel. But I'd recommend it. I'd say that I'd probably give it. What would you guys say? I'm going like 8 out of 10.
Yeah, you know, I can feel that. Pretty same sentiment. I don't know if this is a movie I'd want to watch. You know, often. Maybe it could be like a once a year around Halloween or something. Even though it definitely doesn't in like 2020, it's not that scary. It's creepy and weird, but I didn't, you know, stay awake at night. But it's a fine movie. If you haven't seen it, watch it, and if you had, maybe it's been a while, give it another watch, and I can give it. Yeah, I'd be okay with an 8 out of 10. It's pretty good. I feel like we really had to stretch to find a part we didn't like.
Right. It's 8 of 10s across the board. It's got its problems that I can't defend, but I can't say I didn't love it. Watching it was great, but there's some issues that if somebody said they didn't like it, I can't defend it because there are problems.
Yeah.
The end. What was that? Can we address that? He does
Yeah.
like a dance with a chainsaw on the highway. He's just frustrated, but
If you're concerned about
that's one of those things where the movie has to have happened back in 1978. Nobody would accept that ending today.
Yeah.
If you are concerned at all with Dancing with Chainsaws, you have to watch the second one.
Don't watch the second one.
Because in the second one, he adopts some kind of crab dance.
That will be the last thing that you ever do in your life if you watch that movie. I'm afraid it will, honest to God, kill you. It's
You
so
might not
bad.
be able to.
I have to watch it now.
Oh God.
Please watch it.
Well, that's good.
You know what, everybody? You know what, everybody? I'm gonna recommend all of you out there go watch the second Texas Chainsaw Massacre movie right now, and make sure the person you care about most is with you to punish them.
You're suggesting our listeners commit suicide with their loved one, basically. You know that, right?
I mostly exist to hurt people.
That's
Okay, Leatherface.
I know.
Dude, I'm gonna make a movie called Pleatherface, dude.
Oh, Leatherface is good.
It's gonna be a dude wearing a couch cushion. All right, but yeah, so yeah, that I guess just kind of wraps it up. We said everything we wanted to say.
Yeah.
The next movie picker is none other than the biggest booger picker in the group, Joseph.
Well, so next week is going to be my pick, and you guys have been doing the spooky season movies, continuing into November, and I had mentioned going in November, I want to do a Thanksgiving movie, because there's not very many out there, and I kind of want to maybe be the bump in the road. I don't know what next week is going to be for Caleb, and I'm sure he doesn't either, but I'm going to pick Planes, Trains, and Automobiles, starring Steve Martin and John Candy.
I don't even know what the hell that is.
Have you never seen it?
I've never seen a Steve Martin movie.
Oh,
I'm excited for Caleb.
I wish I could live your life.
So we'll see how we feel. Y'all shot on Frankenstein, so maybe your turn.
I'm excited for next week. No, you're gonna like it.
No, it's
Probably.
a good movie. It's frustrating, but it's a good movie.
Awesome. Well, I'm excited.
Oh,
yeah, thanks for stopping by, guys. That was fun to talk about. It's fun to watch too. I enjoyed it.
Yeah, if you like our content, our little podcast we're making, make sure to hit that like and subscribe button on our YouTube, and hit the bell to get the notifications.
Punch that motherfucking bell.
And at our other socials, we're Monkeyscrolls on Facebook and on Twitter, which we don't really use our social medias as often as we should, I'll be honest. But
That's
on Twitter,
true.
we're also at Scroll Monkey. We are trying to build something here.
We got the Twitter, we got the bitch chitter, dude. We got all the shit bitters you can get, dude.
And all of us also stream on like Twitch and stuff.
Cougas FGZ for me on everything.
Kiefer, what's yours?
Koygo, Koygo. That's on Twitch, Twitter.
And then
That's about it.
On Twitch, I am Ape Man Joe. If you ever want to stop by, and I'd appreciate if you followed me and stopped by. I don't stream as much as the other two. They're pretty consistent about it. So yeah. In closing words, add us on social. I hope you enjoy this. If you do, leave a comment and leave us a like and let us know. Suggest movies. Maybe we'll do that sometime soon. And adios.
Thank you for seeing our show.
Bye-bye.